How was that for you growing up? Did you, because you come from a martial arts family, was there a lot of, when you were younger, especially already some cross training going on, or were you pretty locked up under your father's supervision?
Yeah, I was very much so under my father's supervision for a very long time, right? And he figured, once you're good enough to need external training, then you could go out and do your own thing. So
Right.
that was sort of the understanding. And all throughout my childhood, I did Japanese jiu-jitsu, judo, aikido, and karate, mostly judo, right? Because I competed in judo. And then in high school, I branched off to wrestle. So I wrestled in high school and college. And then the older I got, maybe in my late teens, early 20s, I started doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and Sambo and boxing and kickboxing, all these different martial arts. So in the beginning, it was very much so under my father's school. But after that, I started to really, branch out and experiment and try new things.
Cool. And how was it
Yeah.
for you in general as a kid, growing up in a martial arts family, or at least with a father that was very a big icon in different martial arts disciplines and had his own dojos? How was that for you growing up, to see that as a kid, and also to have the opportunity on one hand to to have access to all that, but probably, I don't know, maybe certain little bit of pressure also.
Yeah, for sure. And people assume that I had like this really strict upbringing because my father looks the part of a very tough, old school, traditional Japanese judoka, but he was very kind and sweet. And, most of the time at home, he was just like the funny dad. And he was very, very able to compartmentalize it, him at the dojo versus us at home. Right. So, sometimes it was hard, right? Because he's at home, like we're, messing around, joking around. He's stubbing his toe, like, ah. And then he gets the dojo, like, do your reps. And it's kind of like, hey, babe, we were just eating ice cream and hanging out, the hour ago. So it was a little bit tough. But, he never made the training serious up until I was probably a teenager. All throughout my childhood, he just wanted to make it as fun as possible. And I just had to be there. That's it. And being there was good because, there's older guys and people and I get to hang out. And he just made it as fun as possible. So I've always associated being at the dojo with having fun, right? So it just kind of made me want to go. And then eventually I started competing. And, by then I was already in love with it. So,
And
it
what,
wasn't too strict. Yeah.
right. And was there a point where you also like verbalized to him, like, this is something I want to give a serious go, or I really want to make a living out, or maybe not a living at that you
Mm.
that age, you're maybe not thinking about it like that, but like, I really want to go for this.
Yeah, I had a tremendous sense of pride doing martial arts growing up, right? Just because my father was who he was, and I would compete at these tournaments, and I felt really ownership over martial arts because it was something that I did that all the other kids didn't really do, and it wasn't like the messaging of like you're special because you do this, you're special because you do this, it wasn't really like that. But I felt like a lot of the stuff that I was doing in martial arts wasn't something that a lot of the other kids did, and he was always challenging me, always pushing me in a way where it's fun and it was a little bit of give and take. Competing like when you're 10 to 12, but you're also competing in the 13 to 16 division, things
Right.
like that. But I was a big kid. So like I was like heavy really early on. So like I would fight in two divisions, and fighting up in age wasn't a big deal because I was big, you know. I was fat too. I was a chubby
Yeah.
kid, but like it was good because yeah, and then I think when I was 12, I fought in the promotional tournament, and I fought like a man because I was in the brown belt division already for judo. And I know it's crazy early to have a judo brown belt at that age, but
Yeah.
I was a big kid, like I said, so and I think that was the moment I was like, oh man, like I could. This is something I really want to do. This is something I'm really good at.
Yeah.
I was my height 5'8", 5'9", already 12, 13 years old, and I just stopped growing after I was like 13. So I figured I was gonna like skyrocket and be really tall and big. Uh, but yeah, I was a big kid really early on, so I kind of felt like this is gonna take off for me, and it kind of did, kind of
Yeah.
did.
Is that also why because you already mentioned you focused a lot on judo? Why did you at some point decide, like, okay, I'm gonna spend a lot of time on judo or compete in judo?
Yeah, just because I wasn't really aware of like the wrestling scene. I was exposed to the judo scene, and in the judo scene, there's that hierarchy of like A level tournament, B level tournament, C level tournament, junior championships. You can make a team, and the structure of it was very appealing, right?
Right.
If I go to this tournament and if I win, I could go to this tournament, and if I win, I could make this team. So like that sort of gave me these goals, and I believe that I could make some big teams. So I kind of like went with that,
Yeah,
you know?
and there's less of that in karate or aikido
Yeah.
competition scene.
Yeah. Because it's not a unified organization, right?
Right.
Judo, there's one judo. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Were you always intrinsically motivated, or were there also times where your father had to say, like, "Come on, you have to keep pushing, you have to keep training"?
Yeah, he was pushy too, but in all the right ways and not always intrinsically motivated. I think by nature I'm pretty lazy.
Yeah.
And even when I was in high school, my dad would wake me up at 5:30 in the morning, drive me to the gym and drop me off. And
Okay.
then sometimes, I sometimes I would push myself and work out, but sometimes I would just take a nap in the locker room and set an alarm and just splash water on my face and go out. That's probably why I'm not an Olympic medalist or anything like that. But
Uh,
yeah, no, I was driven because I loved it, and I don't think I'm like a gritty, intrinsically super motivated person. I think I did judo because I love it, and I do a lot of things just because I love it. And when you do something a lot, you get good at it.